Well, Bob Harrigan returns to the desk. Bob Harrigan here on a weekend, and we were kind of joking at the commercial break. I mean, in May, you're coming in for emergency weather.
Yeah, isn't it amazing? It's a quick start having an impact on us. Last year we had one in April, but it didn't have anything to do with us. This one does, and not a lot. You know, it's not an Irma, thankfully. You know, it's a tropical storm and a weak one at that we'll be possibly dealing with as far as the winds go. And we're right on the cusp. You know, when they give the coastal warnings from I-75 basically westward, you know that there's a chance we may not see those, but they want to make sure their people are aware that they could see the potential for at least tropical storm force winds 40 to 50 miles an hour. That can cause some damage. As I said earlier, small objects can be picked up and carried like missiles, as well as small buildings like sheds, for example, and trees can be uprooted, but mainly it's branches being snapped off due to those strong winds, and there is a chance for some isolated tornadoes. We'll get into all that in just a minute here. Get a look at the visible satellite imagery. What happened is that the area of low pressure that was around last night has now, it was right here, kind of redeveloped further off to the north. So that's changed everything as far as the modeling goes and that forecast cone, and everything's kind of shifting back a little bit closer to us, not on us, but closer to us. And since we're going to be closer to the storm, it is developing, it is strengthening somewhat, there's a chance we could see some tropical storm force winds, thus the tropical storm force warning. Now, the low pressure is here, but there's also a chance, and the Hurricane Center mentioned this, that it could redevelop again in some other areas that may explode with thunderstorms. We saw that with Gabrielle back in 2001 when the storm was here. Then several hours later, it actually redeveloped about 150 miles north of where it had been. Winds are at 40 now, so it's just barely a tropical storm. Reconnaissance aircraft, though, indicated that as they were flying around and flying back, they did notice a pressure drop of 999 millibars. That's where it's at now. It had been at 1,005 throughout most of the day, so that's a pretty big drop. And as the pressure drops, it takes us a few hours to respond to that drop as far as storms go. So we'll start to see those intensify, I think, in the southeast Gulf of Mexico. One thing battling this from developing, dry air. On top of that, we have marginal water temperatures here into the upper 70s to low 80s in cases. Sunday, 2 a.m., here it is, still well south of our area. And then by Sunday, 2 p.m., it should be to the north of our area, or at least parallel to it, with winds up to 60 miles an hour. We're going to get that onshore flow, too, which will bring some high surf our way. High surf advisory, not out of the question. We could see some minor coastal flooding around high tide throughout the day on Sunday and Monday, but we're not expecting a big storm surge with this. Some folks asking, do we need to evacuate the barrier islands at this time? No, no, not at all. And unless, of course, the storm were to redevelop further off to the east, but I don't think that will happen. Again, making landfall sometime Monday afternoon in the panhandle of Florida now, and everywhere to the east of that is going to see the potential for at least some storm surge there, which could be somewhat life-threatening. So there is a tropical storm warning for those folks, as well as a high surf advisory and a storm surge warning in effect for much of the panhandle of Florida all the way down into the Big Bend area. I mentioned those models are starting to get closer to us with each run, but they're running out of time. So this is moving to the north at 13 miles an hour, and it's about 100 miles north of the western tip of Cuba. Now, that's the low pressure center that I showed you, but the bulk of the precipitation is to the east. The tropical storm warnings, once again, I'll recap, are in effect for coastal communities in Manatee, Sarasota, and Charlotte counties, meaning that we do expect the potential, at least, for tropical storm force winds on the low end scale, say 40 to 50 miles an hour, to move on through with some isolated tornadoes. Now, quickly, Northport, you're not included. Lakewood Ranch, you're not included. Parrish, you're not included in that. Risk of tornadoes, small. They're still there, though. It hadn't been there at all yesterday. And now damaging wind, that's into the medium scale. And as far as heavy rain, that's a potential all the way through Tuesday of next week. I mentioned those storms starting to pop a little bit down to our south, but nothing going on right now. It's fairly quiet around our area, some light rain occurring. The low pressure center again out here with the bulk of the precipitation well east of the center, and you can see some moderate rainfall there into Inglewood and Northport, very light to moderate. But look at this, this is one cell southwest of Marco Island. I checked on that, the rainfall rate, 3.66 inches per hour. That's tropical. That's a tropical downpour, so we'll keep an eye on that. Then timing of it will be, it looks like, into the morning hours after sunrise throughout the day, periodically on Sunday. Well, tonight, showers and thunderstorms through the overnight hours, mainly during the daytime on Sunday. Winds will be out of the south at 20 to 25, could be a little higher for coastal residents. And then Monday, 70% chance for showers and storms to redevelop as a little line of low pressure will remain behind as, again, Alberto heads to the north, and the rain chance is staying high on Tuesday. We get back to, I guess, more normal weather by Thursday. Adam?